This look ready to me. What's good? What's golden? What's up, y'all? Y'all know what we about to have something. Okay, so here it is, you guys. Something went on. Something went on in that book, Habakkuk. You know how y'all say it. I'm over here getting in this book. This finna be good. Y'all, this finna get us all the way together. How y'all doing? Child. People gonna try to speak stuff over your life. And then you cast it down immediately. Unless it's prosperity and good health. But if it's anything else, just cast that stuff down, because I don't think a lot of us really understand what time it is. Okay, how is it that I put tabs in my Bible and still can't find things? Okay. What are they doing that at? Put tabs in these Bibles and still can't get to your point of view. Girl. Okay, speed it up. What's up, y'all? I can't find what to look at. I should know this stuff by heart, but I don't. I don't know the Bible by heart. Did you hear what I just said? Lord, where the book at? Do I not have a tab? Oh, thank you, Jesus. See, you gotta ask God. Just hurry up and ask God, because if you don't, you'll be messing around for too long. He knows everything. Everything. And when I say God knows everything, everything. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Okay, so y'all, this is it. This is a true story. Habakkuk, I just found out. Laugh if you want. I don't care. Laugh aloud. I just found out that this prophet was a male. Sure did. I know. Like, to me. I didn't know you on this whole time. I'm hollering, write the vision and make it plain. Thinking this a whole female. Thinking this whole thing. First, thank you, Lord, for giving me this space to have fun in. The whole time, y'all, I'm thinking this a whole chick. A whole female. Why, I just find out. Now, I did some great notes. It's a real small book, y'all, but it's full of power. When I tell you, ooh-wee. Okay, did I go? Okay, that's where I'm starting. Okay, so this is I'm coming from out of two different books. It's like a study guide, and then the Bible. Then any Bible, get any Bible. It don't matter. Do you just learn, know the story, So y'all, this is Habakkuk was a male prophet. Okay, yes, he was. He was a prophet, and he was speaking to the Lord, asking him a lot of questions, and just pretty much crying out about a lot of stuff that he felt like, the prophet felt like, should have already happened. And so I'm gonna skip over to verse 1, 5 through 6. The Lord begins his response to Habakkuk. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It don't matter if I'm not. In verses 5 through 6, but the response is not what Habakkuk wants to hear. Y'all know we get into that. Oh, I've been praying, I've been fasting, I've been asking, I've been seeking, but yet I haven't received a response from the Lord. Okay, so this is what Habakkuk was struggling with, and I'm studying this right now, and we studying this together, and I'm like, how is he writing a vision and making it plain? Okay, I guess he is, you know how you have a whole bunch of vision boards and you put down a lot of stuff and you be like, you have yet for it to come to pass. I'm thinking, I guess that's what he was going through. But it say, look among the nations and see, wonder and be astonished. So, Habakkuk, as ourselves, are always asking God for deliverance or help or a blessing or something. And the answer is always given, but the answer is given to us in an unwanted way. I'm trying to hit on the most important parts because this is just so nice what's going on here. So in verse 5, the Lord directs Habakkuk's attention to the people outside of Judah, to the surrounding nations who don't know God. Okay, so when God puts you in a presence of people who don't reference him, we know how that can be. Okay, we want to keep in mind that there were two primary political powers in Habakkuk's day. It was the Assyrians, the assholes, and the Babylonians, running their mouth, always got something to say type of people. The Assyrians had held powerful. I'm in 2025, the Great Escape, and a lot of people need tenderness. They need fraudulent. They need fictitious. You're not gonna get that from people who have overcome all that. Like Habakkuk, this dude was tough, and I might speak to him in a noun slang. Just go with it, okay? God has already studied and examined my heart, so all is well. God people, okay? So this is what was going on. He was put before two political, powerful group of people, okay? But their military might and influence had been steadily weakening as the power of the Babylonians, these Chaldeans, increased. Okay, we're going somewhere. So here the Lord focused Habakkuk on the reality of these happenings. Now, according to verse 5, Habakkuk reacted to what the Lord is going to reveal to him. Okay? That's pretty much what was going on. Let's get over to verse 5, because it's not much to cover, and I want to... It's like 3 pages of this, but it's a lot going on. This man here, y'all, this is a small chapter with so much going on. Okay, so the Syrians, as we know, was the Babylonians, Iraq. They was like the strength. Chaldeans, aggressive. They ready. King raised. Okay, and then you go over to God remains faithful through all of this. So God will put you in a trance, place you there, and throughout the whole entire assignment, he's going to remain faithful. So in verse 6, what else does the Lord says? Well, he explained, and Habakkuk struggled to receive the answer. He said they will march across the world and conquer other lands. Really, Lord? Okay, so this is what it is. Yeah, I'm going to have to break this thing all the way down. I'm going to give this to y'all. Let's give it to y'all raw and uncut. And we're going to be real quick and fast. We're finna go into it real deep, real simple, okay? I don't usually like doing a lot of reading, but we have to read for the circumstances of the energy to swirl up, okay? So, we all need a reminder sometimes that the God we serve is a prayer answering God. In fact, he always answers our prayers, which is why there is really no such thing as unanswered prayer. Even so, we tend to think in those unanswered prayers terms when we want and can't see concrete evidence that God is actively doing something in particular situation we are praying about. In those cases, when no answers to our prayer is visible on the horizon, when the unresolved need continue. This book wrote some type of way. It's like a book I wrote before, ain't it? When the unresolved need continues to weigh us down, the answers, at least for a moment, is wait. Other times, the answers to our prayers brings us everything we wanted. Y'all ever been standing around and you ask God for something today, and within less than 48 hours, the thing is answered, and you're like, Lord, why you haven't got to the other stuff on the prayer list? Kind of like that. That's what Habakkuk going through, okay? That sort of answer Habakkuk receives in this week's lesson. He has cried out to the Lord, wondering how long the Lord will sit back and allow his people to grow increasingly sinful and destructive. Why hasn't God intervened to stop the violence and the large-scale apostates that seems to be taking place in Judah? The prophet has been greatly perplexed as he grapples with God's ways and waits for answers, and now the Lord responds. Hard to believe, right? Okay, the Lord begins his response to Habakkuk in verse 5 through 6, but the response is not what Habakkuk wants to hear. Lord, let's look among the nations and see, wonder, and be astonished. Okay, I'm turning the page. For I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told. For behold, I am raising up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, who march through the brethren of the earth, to seize dwellings not their own. Okay, yo? This is the now season. This is what we're going through right now. In verse 5, the Lord directs Habakkuk's attention to the people outside of Judah, to the surrounding nations who don't know God, like we were saying, who want to keep in mind that there were two primary political powers. We already discussed that. God people for decades, but the military might and influence had been steadily weakening as the power of the Babylonians. These Chaldeans increased. So here the Lord focused Habakkuk on the reality of these happenings. Okay, so the Babylonians then became over aggressive, and God wants Habakkuk to focus in on what they got going on. I guess the Chaldeans were a semi-nomadic tribe that lived in the southern part of Babylonia, which is a part of Iraq today. Okay, as the Chaldeans are first mentioned way back in Genesis. Okay, the Chaldeans were often aggressive against other nations. In time, there were a series of Chaldeans kings raised up to rule Babylon, and during the time, the word Chaldeans became synonymous for Babylonian. In the Bible, the most famous Chaldean king to rule Babylon was King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so here we go. So the Lord says in verse 6 that he is going to rise up the Chaldeans. What else does the Lord say in this verse that will explain why Habakkuk will be astonished and struggle to believe this answer? Well, God was also saying that they will march across the world and conquer other lands. Now, it's a method to this madness that God will allow such type of people to rule. Okay, so presidential leadership and hierarchy. Let's pay attention to it. These people was actually this group of political people no good. Okay, so when you think of these political type of people, you think of the presidential, the leadership, and the hierarchy. Okay, in anything. How do these following passages give us some insight into God's answer to Habakkuk in verse 6? Well, according to Psalm 75:7, confirmation, President Trump, okay? But God is the judge. He putteth down one and he set it up another one. No, the seasons is it a time to get or give. So people say, oh my God, President Trump is the Antichrist, or I love President Trump, he's doing the good thing. We have to keep in mind that God is also over President Trump. And this is what God was referring to when he was speaking to Habakkuk about the Babylonians. He said, yes, I am raising you up to be a witness of all of this destruction and deceit and things that's taking place that really makes no sense to you. But you have to understand that I am God, and I have put that particular political power in place. So, and just know your season. You have to know if it's a time to get or give. And then it's another book that backs this up. Daniel 2:20-21. It say, bless God's wisdom and knowledge belongs to God. God controls the times and the season. He removes kings and places kings. Wisdom belongs to wise. Knowledge to them that knows understanding. So see, I believe Habakkuk, the reason he was so disturbed in writing his vision and it wasn't becoming plain to him is because of those few acronyms I just put out there. He wasn't in a place to be a king, or he had wisdom, but he couldn't find the wise in the wisdom. You know, that makes sense to me. And knowledge belongs to those who understand it. So I believe that's what he was struggling with. Okay, pretty much my time, not your time. Is it a give time or a take time? Okay, so we go further on into Romans 13:1, and it say God cannot be removed out of the equation. Again, so if you have a powerful political aspect going on versus our today's president, and we just feel like everything that he's doing is such a corruption and there's no way out and the answer is nowhere to be found, that means we have moved God from the equation. And he said you have to be reminded of that. Because, okay, we the subjects, us. So we have to answer to the higher power, which is God. If all power comes from God, the power of evil and righteousness is ordained from God Almighty. Correct? Correct. So I don't believe this, I know this. This is what God was trying to get the Habakkuk in us, the prophets in us, to understand that when you in the season of giving, which is a flex that don't feel so good, you have to understand the power of God is still in the equation. So it's a no match for God. Okay, so the Lord paints for Habakkuk a frightening picture of the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, who he is raising up to punish his unrepentant people. Okay, see, God is working with the double-edged sword right here. He's notorious. Okay, because see, the people that God was using to be an example to the people that was unruly and of unrepentance or continuing in their unrighteousness are notorious. Swifter. They was conquering land, abiding by no rules. Their attacks are far off. You know, doing them in secret closets and underground and graveyard. I'm saying what come to me: graveyard dirt, graveyard magic, that type of stuff, where you think no one is aware. Is what God said. These are these type of people. They fierce. You know, they devour. They prey. These people, this group of people, they ferocious. Okay, they all about violence, advance like the desert wind. They scoff at kings and princes. So these unruly type of people are only on a venture as vultures to tear up the prey of the pure vessels of God. But see, God is doing something, as always, and in doing something. Okay, yeah, you can write your vision, you can make it plain, and your vision is all set out to be made in glorious gold, glitter, sparks, good, wealth, prosperity. But God said, okay, I understand that, but to get to all this, you're going to have to give to get to all this. And as you getting and giving, you're going to have to go through a wisdom of understanding, because see, when God want to bless us with something, or he want us to write the vision and make it plain, he don't want us to just be the receivers, but he also want us to be the participant. A person who know how to receive is a person who don't mind giving. Okay, so God built me, and I'm still getting used to it. So that's the thing of it. God wants to build you. He don't want you to be built at your own will, because you get lost in the sauce. We know how that goes. So they are, okay, so to the read, they are dreaded and fearsome. Their justice and dignity go forth for themselves. Their horses are swifter than leopards. Y'all, look how mighty, and it's 4:04. Look how mighty and wicked this energy that is being stirred before us in 2025. But guess what? God is a finisher of our faith. Their horses are swifter than leopards, more fierce than the evening wolves. Their horsemen press proudly on. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle, swift to devour. They are all coming for violence. All their faces are forward. They gather captives like sand. At kings they scoff, and at rulers they laugh. They laugh at every. You ever been laughed at? I have. I mean, I done seen groups laugh till they was tickle tink. It's funny to hear the laughs, but people are going to laugh, okay? They laugh at every fortress, everything that, because see, they like, oh my God, you can allow it to bloom. Oh my God, you can continue to water it. And on the back of their mind, they destroying it. He's pretty much painting a beautiful picture to Habakkuk about how this political party is responding, okay? Okay, for they pile up earth and take it. Then they sweep by like the wind and go on. No remorse. I'm ruthless with respect, okay? I'm going to get you together and then show you some love and then cut you off, okay? That's just it. You're going to learn. Like God. But to stay there and gnaw at you and just let you swarm as what you call torturing you, that's awful. Okay, so these are guilty men who own might is their God. Okay, so they feel like the their wicked is subjective to how powerful they are. How wicked they can be is subjected to how powerful they can become. Yeah, that's brilliantly said. According to verse 7, how were the Babylonians viewed by the nations in Habakkuk's day? Oh my God. Remember, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay? This has already been done. Okay, this is revelation. Well, according to verse 7, the Babylonians was viewed as, like we said, they was very notorious. They were swifter in movement. They demand and conquered any land. When I tell you any land, they can attack from far off. That's witchcraft. Okay, when you say they can attack from far off, because we got to think politically correct. We got to think powerfully profound. If you can attack from far off, okay, they fierce. They leave no prey. And people don't like when you brutally honest, okay? They want to be battered. Look, you're in a domestic violence relationship. Get out while you can, okay? They are battery operated and controlled to love violence, advance like a desert wind. And remember that windy day, March the 15th, if you can recall. That was, oh my God, the wind, oh my God. If you was out there, y'all, it was like, okay, yeah. my car and these cars are driving are going to topple over any minute. Now that was one of the windiest days we had this month, if you can recall, 315 or whenever. Okay, so we go on to say these was the type of nation that Habakkuk had to view as he was writing a vision and making it plain. It's gonna be work to get that vision to come alive, but it's suitable and it's reachable because God is in the equation. Correct? You're not asking for nothing that God can't be proud of. The Lord likens the Babylonians to a variety of the Lord likens the Babylonians to a variety of creatures in verse 8. What impression of these people is conveyed by each of these animals? Okay, he explains how these people were, the type of animals these people were subjected to. He said, well, they was like lepers. The horses are impacted with swifter swaying power faster than a cheetah. Now, a cheetah top speed is between 50 and 80 miles an hour. I guess it depends on the cheetah age. That's pretty fast, right? Let's think of car speed, because we're thinking 110 kilometers an hour. That's 70 miles an hour. A cheetah running on the side of your car. Okay, so horses, think of the horses moving faster than highway speed. Because these was horses. Okay, we're talking back in these days it's highway speed, but still now we got to be politically correct. And think of it now with a prophetic aspect. That's the best way to say that. So, and at this point, it made me want to cry. Because to think that we have a kilometer of people at a vestigial movement fast as cars. This is how swift and how fast God's saying that the evil and the wickedness is moving about far as energy. Okay? To keep your vision from becoming plain. Okay? So we move on, and he also compared them to the wolves. This definitely made me want to cry. It say they fiercer than wolves at dusk. They can go at it during the evening. Swift, ruthless Babylonian army. They are prepared for destruction. These people, okay? And these people have offsprings. These people have bloodlines. These people have trends, curses, entities, you name it, okay? So, and it say in relentless nature as they attack with the ferocity of hunger, okay? Power and war is what's on these people's mind and all the time. Power and war. They are not sitting here being sentimental about humans and flesh. Is power and war. Okay, so the nature, okay, and relentless. Okay, and relentless nature as they attack with, like we said, the ferocity of power and war. They study their prey from far off as they keep in mind the countless attacks it may take to eat quickly and devour them. Okay, so we know when you have somebody that's trying to, let's say, destroy you or break you off your career or take you off a romantic path of you being a suitor in a marriage for, let's say, over 4 years, because it get drastic as the years go on and on. 5 years is the hardest. We know 10 years. Okay, you've been breaking up for the 5 years. 20 years. Okay, you just said, you know what, it's better I deal with you than even try to figure out how to meet somebody else new. And it goes on like that. So, think of these people studying the cycle that you have drastically overcame. Because we know being down here or up here or in the middle of this realm is not an easy projection or a project at all, okay? As we are all pawns in the atmosphere of the universe. This has not been an easy subject, okay, to solve. but achievable if you keep God in the equation, if he is the vision that you're trying to make plain. This is what he's trying to bring about to Habakkuk. You asking for specifics, and what's needed is me. So we go forward, and okay. But the Babylonians' violence is in view now, right? We can see what type of people they are, they have been, and they can be, and they is. According to verse 9. What is the goal of their violence? Well, we went over that, but there's more to meet the eye. They are prepared to strike blood, okay? They go until blood is drawn, okay? Because usually when blood is spilled, that's a evaporation of weakness, okay? And put the prey that's ahead of them at a disadvantage, because that put the prey. Okay, that's what my note. I'm reading my notes, and y'all know I can't read what I write, so don't worry about that. Love me and go. Okay, so to spill blood, that puts your opponent at a disadvantage by understanding their blind sides. Okay, and again, we speaking politically correct, right? This is a prophet, so this is a prophecy. A prophecy is a vision, okay? I can tell you it's going to be a color, and I can distinguish to you that the color is pink, but then as a prophecy, you have to consider all the colors that can be brought to fruition out of the color pink, okay? So you have to, that's it. You got the pinwheel of pink, which we know is the stars, now the magentas, the reds. So this is prophecy, okay? This is what I'm speaking of, prophecy. And it can be the now. That's why you can't take God out the equation. So he's saying, okay, so I'm going to prepare you, okay? Because they're going for blood, and they're trying to put you at a disadvantage. And the only way, because they're sneaky, okay? They have to strike the sidelines. They have to consider your weakness. This is why they went into a study from afar, okay? You ain't even got to fight. All you have to do is surrender, okay? So this is what God was trying to tell the prophet, the male prophet Habakkuk. I'm tickled because I thought it was a woman all the time. You sitting up here asking me why and why not, and the only thing I have been trying to teach you up to this point is to surrender, okay? You prepare for battle. You come here for a fight. You come here. We're not supposed to be at a stance with swords, okay, and shields. That if that's the case, then you're going into the Assyrians and the Babylonian territory, and when you going into battle, and God said you was just supposed to surrender. I'm gonna give y'all a true story. Today I was I'm gonna try to paraphrase this, okay, because a lot of people I'm trying to protect energy, okay. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm doing what God is doing, okay? I'm trying to get those who don't know to understand without hurting themselves so deeply, so becoming so deeply wounded. So I was doing a job, doing a service, and I have been at the job and the service for enough time to understand exactly what I was doing, okay? I'm prophetically paraphrasing. And my trainer, supervisor, manager, what do you want to say, sat back and was watching me from afar. I had no idea that I was being watched until I was approached, and I was shown that I was doing something incomplete in front of a group of people. Well, at the end of it, I decided, because it's Lent season for those who know, and I have decided to refrain from rebuttal It seems like when I know that I'm correct or on my point, I protect myself. Okay, but I said I wasn't going to do this, and this was long before I did the study of Habakkuk. This is a side note. Okay, so as she was trying to explain to me that I was doing something wrong, she had finally, when I stepped back to move in front of the audience, she was like, oh, okay, well, oh, okay, you did extra, okay, it's okay, it was right, okay. And all she could do was walk away. And it happened twice, okay? It happened to me twice today. And the other person did the same thing, was walk away, okay? So this is the primary perfect example of surrender your sword. And again, prophetic sword. Surrender the rebuttal. Surrender the defendant. Surrender the getting the last word. Surrender being right. I ain't saying being no I'm not asking you to be a doormat, but I'm saying surrender and give yourself time and watch God fight your battles. And after that was all said and done or whatever, I was asked, what church do you go to, and who's your pastor? And because with that type of humiliation coming towards you, it puts us in a predicament to where we want to defend ourselves. And the enemy uses weakness. And during this Lent season, I'm seeing that some of the most influential, very articulate people are being used by the masses because they are weakened. And they've been preyed upon. And the masses is spiritual, okay? I don't significantly, the masses can become, okay? They are becoming. It's 5 o'clock. It's Tuesday, March 25th. Okay, so we go on and we say, God told male prophet Habakkuk, you ain't even got to fight. All you had to do was surrender. Hallelujah. Okay, so in those days, strategic warfare included taking prisoners of war away from their homes, okay? Strategic, okay? Exiling them and relocating them in the conqueror's homeland, okay? So pretty much get you in unfamiliar territory. That's why I had abound, and I had decided that, people seem to want to go in unfamiliar territory when things in familiar territory are unforeseen or not going as planned. Okay, that's cool. I get it. Enough is enough. But you have to be mindful of what you're relocating from or what you're removing yourself from, because if it's something that you can conquer and overcome in familiar territory, I will have to say that it will be easily done in familiar territory versus taking that same assignment and meeting in another person in unfamiliar territory. So that's just, that's just a straightforward of what I'm seeing here, of how the enemy had to strategically get you. I'm like God. I'm surrendering it all. I have surrendered it all. I mean, I cannot go leave something I have worked blood, sweat, and tears for. I have subdued. I have prayed and fast. I mean, aches and pains, over 72 hours a week, when it's only 24 hours in a day. And I'm just gonna uproot and go and make it better for myself somewhere else. Nah, that's not the God I serve. No, that's not the God I serve. God will have to come, and He does. He comes directly to me, and He will have to tell me that, you have to go. But if He promised us to stay and consider something, that means he's got it under control. And we just need to surrender. So that's pretty much what the enemy was doing, trying to be very strategic. They was trying to exile from Canaan, the promised land. And exactly that's what was going on in the Old Testament. Prophets foretold, warning God's people that it would happen to them if they refused to walk in God's way. And it's exactly what did happen. You know what I'm saying? When you refuse to do what God told you to do, more so than not, more than a century before Habakkuk's time, which was 722 BC. See what I'm saying? This thing is written. That's the best way of putting it. The 10 northern tribes of Israel had been carried away captive by the Assyrians. Now in Habakkuk's day, the southern kingdom, Judah, is in danger of the same punishment. And remember, I've been throwing this out like pennies as far as the energy goes on this very platform of how if you don't escape the hand of curses and trends and you fall into the territory of the enemy just because you're going to be put on an illusion of power, then yes, you're going to be stripping every time, and you may have to come back in another lifetime or cycle to do it all over again. I don't really get deep with a lot of stuff because, again, getting too deep and too involved with a lot of different things is costing you to hold on and costing you to be the bearer of the fight. And God is asking us to surrender. Okay? That's all he's asking us to do. So it say, okay, so here Habakkuk come, 722 BC. Here we go. 2025 or 25, right? The cycle has reset itself, right? And these walls provide protection for city residents. Ain't that something? Now, look, check this out. Habakkuk's come under the same punishment as the Assyrians. In those days, strong fortified walls were built all around cities, and these walls provided protection for city residents. Remember, our today's president was considering walls being built. I'm just leaving it right there, right? And who would have thought that the price of eggs will be in certain areas and regions the price they were or the price they are? Who knew? Okay, so the aggressive Babylonians were able to invade enemy cities by mounding up ramps of earth to climb up and over the walls. Remember, we're in a day where Trump was so strategic about building the wall, okay? Back into the time lapse. You see, the time lapse. And a leader that's hated, a leader that's considered to be so vicious and so against the rules of the world, right? Now, this is just the accusations. We have yet to see the punishment or to see the revelation of what President Trump is doing or not doing. So, okay, so here they talking about the walls, right? That's what the Lord indicates what happened to Judah. So, the more you understand God, the more you will become excited about what's going on, about the jackasses, Assyrians, the tribe of Judah, how the political powers prepare to be swift in the walls for protection. The more you understand God, the more you will become excited about the vision and making it plain. 4404 was on the clock. And making it plain, right? Yeah, it is long-winded, but it's good. Okay, so smile, right? Smile. Because we're writing the vision and making it plain. In their arrogance and the military might, the Babylonians scoffed and laughed at the weaker nations, including God's people in Judah. Even so, God himself is the one raising up these arrogant leaders and granting them destruction destructive victory. See what I'm saying? This is God's land. This is God's land. 44:44. This is God's land. This is his foundation. He raised up who he wants to put in leadership. Mind your business, people, okay? So that's what Habakkuk cannot understand. This is what the prophet Habakkuk could not understand. How is it that God is raising up such arrogant leaders and granting them victories over destruction? Here's why. #ANTS, #AllNightTalks. In the light of God's promise to his people that one of their own, a descendant from Israel, great King David, will one day rule over all. Psalms 2 makes this promise plain as day. Read Psalms 2 and answer the following questions. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to stick to the notes, okay, because it can get long. Okay. What underlined the violence of arrogant kings and nations? Okay, that came from Psalms 2:1-2. Okay, futile plans, incapable of producing any useful results, pointless or predictions. Okay, rulers plot together against the Lord and the chosen ones. Uncaged, break the chains, freedom from slavery towards God. Okay, how will God respond to the arrogant kings? Psalms 2:4-6. With laughter, scoffs of mocking them, rebuke them, terrifying them with violence, anger, or rage, releasing powerful dangers as God placed, I put my name in there, Tamia, his chosen queen, on the throne. Okay, only under God am I considered a queen, not man. Okay. Okay, so the kingly promises made to King David from Psalms 2:7-9 point way ahead to the ultimate fulfillment in David's descendant, Jesus Christ, the final ultimate King of kings. What would happen to the kings and the nations who refuse to bow to this ultimate King of Israel? Okay, one king, one nation under God. That's what the driven king of now is submitting to do. Okay, so we answer with this. God taketh the king in and reveal the enemies in place of inheritance. Listen to that. And the uttermost parts of the earth to rebuild and enjoy thy possessions. They shall be destroyed of all their wealth, like a rod of iron, dashing them all over the place, to be used like a potter's vessel on purpose, molded. This is what's going to happen if, now that God has put all of this swiftly, wolfly, ferocious, cheetah wickedness before us, he's going to raise his staff and cause the moments to cease. And because this is what's going on now, God has asked the moments to be ceased upon those who have surrendered to the forces of evil wickedness. However, if the forces of evil wickednesses refuse to abide and obey, God is saying, I'm going to reveal the enemy in place of inheritance. A swish swash. You know what I'm saying? Swiftly. Now, I'm going to swiftly undo what I did or what I allowed to do, because I am the God of today, tomorrow, and forevermore. And upon me revealing the enemy, I'm going to allow you to inherit the place that they stand, and the uttermost parts of the earth to rebuild. Okay? So God's saying, I'm not going to put you in that territory that you was trying to stray from, because you had more than enough. You had reached your height of aggravation, of scrutiny, strife. I mean, you name it. Anything you can make up. Threatening, cyberbullying. I just don't want to even put it all out there. Anything that's opposite of God, corruption. Okay. He's saying, I'm going to set you in the utmost parts of the land, the earth, and I'm going to cause you to rebuild. And as you are rebuilding, you're not just going to rebuild this for a new legacy to endure. You're going to be able to enjoy thy possessions of thy hand. And then he goes on to say, they shall be destroyed of all their wealth. So God says, since this is what these people were made to believe, that made them powerful and taste the blood of those who they wanted to consume, to devour. I am going to switch the blade and destroy all of their wealth like a rod of iron. Okay, so like a rod of iron. Think of iron being scorched and melt under such God's fiery flame. Think of that. He said it's going to be dashing them all over the place. So God is going to cause these same leaders he allowed to thrive and get out of hand, to be dashed all over the place. And as they being dashed all over the place, he's going to cause you to use them like a potter's vessel on purpose. You're going to be able to mold them. So now you read the passage where he said, make your enemies your footstool. Okay? That's powerful stuff. I know. Okay, so we're going to say, what hope is held out? God asked me to do this for you all. Please be receiving. Okay? What hope is held out to the arrogant kings and nations in Psalms 2:10-12, the song, okay? Have wisdom, take heed that God is in control over all, A-L-L, all, including the heavens and the earth. Reference the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling, okay? Humble, stay humble. Be angry, but sin not. Forgive, okay? Forgive. Try not to get into that moment of, I want to be mad. I want to be wicked. I want to hurt. It's a pitless way of thinking. Okay. Put all the trust in God, regardless. Okay. Okay. So we get some inside scoop into the Babylonians' heart in Habakkuk 1:11, where the Lord points clearly to their guilt. We've seen already that they're guilty of violence, destruction, blatant, outwardly acts of evil. But here we learn that they're also guilty because they trust in themselves. Ooh, then we spoke of that. See, we're ahead of ourselves in our study. In their military might, according to Jeremiah 17:5, what goes hand in hand with these kinds of self-trust? Okay, I was going to say something, but God said keep going, so I'm going to go. Okay, according to Jeremiah 17:5, what goes hand in hand with this kind of self-trust? Okay, so what goes hand in hand with what we just spoke about is cursed. Those who trust in man will become cursed. Okay, cursed. Make it flesh his arm stronghold. Okay, you will be cursed when you make man, a fleshly man, your strength, your stronghold, your guide, your king, your leader, your idol. Okay, curse, a hardened heart, a person who are so stuck and so driven on their ways, and this is the way things have been done for days, weeks, years, centuries, months, momentarily, and you feel like, oh, nobody can come along and change things and do it better. Like I said, I was a victim of circumstances, but because I had surrendered the Lent season to God to not rebuttal what I knew was right for the time of Lent, I passed the test twice in the same hour. So that's clearly the scoop into the Babylonians and how God made it clear of what was to come. Because we ain't talking about just, oh, you hit me, I hit you back type of people, okay? We're not talking about that. Oh, no, we ain't talking about no backstabbing stuff, okay? We talking about some really ferocious, blood-seeking animals, okay? Acting out in violence to the point of no return. So, God say, put yourself in Habakkuk's sandals just for a moment, right? He has been waiting for a word from the Lord for answers to his questions about why. I know you've been pondering the vision board. You've been constantly waiting on God. God has answered all of the little stepping stone things you had asked for. But it just seemed to be this one phrase and this one sentence and this one paragraph that just cannot seem to get some answers or some examination. Here's why. He has been waiting for a word from the Lord for answers to his questions about why God doesn't stop the bad things going on in, it says Judah, but you can put any word in place of that. For all appearances, God has left his people to self-destruct rather than intervene to soften their hard hearts. Okay? God hasn't done that. 5 o'clock. But now Habakkuk learns that God has not left. In fact, God is already powerfully at work. Of course, the answer isn't anything at all along the lines of what Habakkuk had been hoping for. Surely he wants to cover his ears and hear no more. Seeing, differentiate, process of growth. God didn't let the people self-destruct. God used a certain particular people to soften the heart of the unrighteous people. To see God's work was already at hand. But we have to get out of our own way to understand something so deep as the book of Habakkuk. Okay? And I'm supposed to say, girl, you've been saying that wrong throughout this whole teaching. I apologize. The Lord says nothing in these verses to soften the blow, to sugarcoat the reality of what's going to happen. How does this actually help us to trust God? Okay, so the story this far, how does it actually help us to trust God? When you truly trust in the Lord with all your might, you cannot lean towards your own understanding. At all. At all. You cannot look a gift horse in the mouth. If you truly love the Lord with all your might, you must surrender it all, every down to the dust, to the particles, to witness and testify about the victories God has won on the behalf of the chosen ones. Come on, people. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk. God was going to raise up and empower the wicked Babylonians to discipline his wayward people. See, God still have faith in us that in spite of everything going on, in spite of who's in leadership, in spite of who's the management, whether they corrupt, in spite of the politicians, in spite of the rulers, whether they're corrupt and wicked, can we have a conversation of who I am? Have your God placed you in such a position so unruly and unthoughtful to where he's not going to come along and rise you up, and along rising you up, give you everything the enemy destroyed, tried, taken, whatever, what have you, whatever you can think of, and allow you to endure that, allow you to possess the land, be at good health while doing it. Identify a time when an unlikely source of spiritual growth was brought into your life. What was it, and how did it cause you to grow? I'm not ready to share that lie because so much has happened around to and for me over the past 15 years. To be exact, 2010 to currently. I am healing. And in this healing process, I have surrendered it all to God. My family, funds, friends, community, leaders, career, patience, politics, and schemes. And not in that order. If strange things, this is coming from the book I'm reading from. If strange things are happening to you personally, don't complain, but say, what is God teaching me through this? The 8. Explain what God has been teaching you recently through a trial or perplexity in your life. If you aren't sure, are you willing to ask and then simply watch and wait? Why or why not? Still watching while productively waiting to see God's unchanging hand. Fast and praying. It's the butterfly. I'll be back.